spots in many countries is not easy, but it becomes easy when your country is rich and very popular with its multi-charming spots that are very attractive in its own right without needing too much promotional campaigns. Like Egypt, we have many types of tourism. You don't need that much of effort to be able to promote for your spots, the charming spots that you have in your country. Unlike Mexico, for example, or unlike France, unlike England. Of course, there are some places that you could visit in Europe, but not as much as a country that owns 1/3 of the world's monuments. And history started on it, on its land. So today we talk about promotional tourism, and in particular international promotional tourism. We have with us here Mr. Alaa Khalifa, is international tourism promotional expert, and he is going to be talking to us about choosing Cairo as for 2020, I mean the current year or the new year, to be the cultural hub for the whole world, especially when we possess that much of the Islamic monuments and Islamic history on our land. I mean, too many ages and too many stories and a lot of history when it comes to the Islamic history. Of course, in addition to the Coptic one and the other, as we can say, the country with 7 cultures. And as they called us during the World Youth Forum. So we're going today to talk about this particular topic and see how far have we reached that particular domain and what exactly are we doing to promote for ourselves, since we're very rich in our resources when it comes to history, when it comes to 1/3 of the world monuments and all that stuff. What exactly? How could we invest on it? With the travel ban that is being lifted from Britain and Russia, and the touristic flights are, mostly flights are flocking over to Egypt. Egypt is becoming very busy at this season because of the good weather. Lots of other elements that we should take in consideration. Good evening, Mr. Khalifa.
Good evening.
And let's first talk about choosing Cairo as a cultural hub for the whole world. What is the story behind that?
It's not for the whole world. It's actually among one of the cultural hubs for in the world, among the top 20 in the world. Especially choosing Cairo for being a cultural hub for Islamic monuments as well. There will be big attention will be given for 2020 for a lot of the Islamic monuments in Cairo. Cairo is a city that has a very rich history regarding Islamic archaeology. We do have a number of monuments in Cairo that is as old as the city, which is 1,000 years old. And it's about time that we take care of these monuments. As far as I know, that 2 of the biggest organizations are giving attention to these monuments by funding number of projects, renovation projects, to restore these monuments and put them up in the tourist map. The Aga Khan Foundation is one of them, is actually donating an amount of money to conserve the different monuments in old medieval Cairo. The same thing also goes for, as far as I know, the American aid is actually putting out a project as well to take care of different parts of Islamic Cairo, such as Moise Street and such as also Bab al Azab area, which are very hot. It's going to be put on the tourist map for 2020-2021. And it's actually, the project goes on for 4 years, and we hope by this project these monuments in Old Cairo will be back into the tourist map again and will become hot tourist destinations for tourists to see. All of this comes with the opening of the of the new Grand Museum. Opening of the new Grand Egyptian Museum is an amazing event, is going to draw the attention of the world towards Egypt. That's why Egypt has been chosen this year or for next year to become among the top 20 destinations to visit, hot destinations to visit, because of the opening of the museum and because of also the fact that we are going to have one of the largest, biggest museums in the world after opening of this museum. The area is going to become a cultural hub, and definitely this is going to boost the image of Egypt worldwide.
Right. But let's talk about, since you've mentioned, very smartly mentioned, the Grand Museum. I mean, what does exactly it comprise? Because there are lots of inquiries about, there is the old Egyptian Museum, which is in Midtown Cairo, and this Grand Museum, which are lots and lots of expectations and stories and lots of facets, and it's huge space. What does it comprise? I mean, does it comprise only the old pharaoh or monuments, or does it also comprise the Islamic era and the Coptic era and other dynasties and other cultures that Egypt have passed through its history? What exactly does it comprise?
As the name stands, Grand Egyptian Museum. So when it says Egyptian Museum, it actually refers to ancient Egypt. So the museum will only comprise archaeological artifacts from the ancient Egyptian history, from the early pharaonic times, from the dynasties times, starting from the prehistoric times to First Dynasty up to the Old Kingdom times, Middle Kingdom times, New Kingdom times, all periods of ancient Egyptian history up till the beginning or the end of the 30th dynasty. And basically that's what going to be the new Grand Egyptian Museum will be comprising. For example, if you take Tutankhamun as an example, all the findings that we found in Tutankhamun, the number of artifacts found in the tomb were up to 5,000 pieces of artifacts and objects that are almost occupying half of the second floor of the old Egyptian Museum. You can imagine the way how we take all these monuments and exhibit them into the new museum is going to make a huge difference. The way how we will exhibit Tutankhamun's treasures will be quite an event. The old Egyptian Museum is comprising number of jewelry rooms. We're going to take these jewelry and we're going to re-exhibit them into the new museum. Mummies that will be transported, I think, this week or next week.
From the older museum?
From the older museum. We have a cache of royal mummies that will be actually transported from the old museum to the new museum. These mummies are for pharaohs, so they are royal mummies, and exhibiting royal mummies have got a very special taste to it, because you're actually exhibiting mummies of ancient kings who have actually ruled this country thousands of years ago, kings with a lot of glory and mysteries around them, kings have actually once built up this country or have done military campaigns outside the country, have enlarged and made it as one of the greatest countries in ancient world, full of culture and civilization. So we're talking about one hub, one place that exhibits thousands of Egyptian artifacts, and you'll be surprised to know that the old museum have had large number of artifacts on its first and second floor, but almost as half of these artifacts of the museum were kept in the cellar of the museum, in the basement of the museum, but that no one could see. So we do have a number of archaeological magazines which are like storage areas in different archaeological sites that have many archaeological artifacts that we could not exhibit them because we don't have enough space to exhibit them. So
really?
Yes, in a lot of areas.
Imagine the amount of artifacts.
So we have thousands of them. Imagine for the first time these wonderful artifacts will see the light, will come out, will be exhibited in the new museum. Imagine focusing the light on the great treasures of King Tutankhamun. We just only took 150 pieces, for example, and we put them out in an international exhibition.
Yes,
right?
I was going to talk about
and it made all this buzz, and millions of people came to visit. And imagine we're taking 5,000 pieces and putting them in the new museum.
Exactly.
Imagine that we are bringing out these artifacts that have been kept for years inside the storage rooms, or into the basement of the museum, or picking out the top masterpieces and putting them into the museum, spotting the lights on them. It's such a big event. When for example, Abu Dhabi opened up the new Louvre museum, they have acquired a number of small artifacts from different museums around the world, and part of them are some Egyptian artifacts actually from the old Louvre. And guess what? It attracts thousands of visitors these days. It became like an icon of the city. So I reckon that the new or the grand new Egyptian museum is going to become the hot topic for every tourist coming to Egypt. I have met personally a number of tourists who have actually come to Egypt inquiring about the new museum so that they can repeat the visit, so that they can come back to see the new museum. It is going to become one of the icons that is going to promote Egypt for many years to come.
Let's just talk about only one piece of, in a dynasty in the Egyptian pharaonic, among the dynasties. I mean, not particularly sure about the dynasty, but the King Tut,
yes,
the Golden Pharaoh, touring almost in Los Angeles and France and England, and the glamour and all the respect that it earned in England, receiving him, and all his treasures at Saatchi, and all the stories that were written in the media all over, and all the glamour that he earned. It's only one fraction of our package of artifacts and monuments.
It's 150 pieces so far that have been touring across this world exhibition.
In the sense of promoting our history, which is your profession.
Absolutely. This is one of the methods that different countries are having tours or shows for the exhibitions for different artifacts that are increasingly popular, especially Egyptian artifacts, and Egyptian history is being studied everywhere around the world, especially in schools. And everyone have heard of Tutankhamun's and the intriguing story of discovering Tutankhamun's tomb, and especially that the discoverers were from the UK in the very beginning. So the story has been spread out well, it's been studied well, and now you're bringing out these artifacts to people to see. So it draws a lot of attention, and it gets a large number of visitors. Putting them in different destinations around the world and creating such a marketing buzz around it will definitely bring the right attention. And the attention is not only going to be given to that particular exhibition, but also is going to be given to the rest of the this is like a teaser. A teaser for our archaeological artifacts, which is our main tourism or cultural product that we're giving in Egypt. However, we do have, we focus of course on the archaeological artifacts from ancient Egypt, but we do have Greek-Roman artifacts, and and because Egypt is a country that has it all. We do have it all. We have ancient Egypt.
Are we using?
We are. Enough? We are at the moment, and I think
then where is the problem?
Minister.
Why aren't we getting that much of income from a tourism venue, unlike other countries? Like if you look at, for example, at springtime in Mexico, Cancun, there isn't anything there. It's only sea, and I mean it's very modest. Even the beaches there, and you can see the flock of people. Coming over to Mexico on the beaches and shores of Cancun just for that particular time. If you go to, for example, Italy, if you go to Spain, if you go even to Nairobi, if you go to, I mean, you name it, to Australia, I mean, compared to Egypt, it's very modest. I mean, the resources are very modest. You don't almost have anything. Dubai, for example.
Let's agree on one thing. Right, we have been a very fortunate country, having cultural tourism, which is one of our main hubs, one of our main power as a competitive edge among other countries. Cultural tourism is the very important aspect or pattern of tourism that draws millions of tourists to Egypt every year. We do have a number of other touristic products, such as beaches on the Red Sea and on the Mediterranean. We do have desert tourism. We do have healing tourism that going to the oasis and also to areas in Aswan and the Red Sea, areas where you'll be able to get healed from number of diseases, naturally, of course. And above all, we do have the sun. We own the sun. We have the sun. In terms of that when it comes too cold in everywhere around the world, if you come to Egypt, you get the moderate weather. So the weather
Even
is
now.
actually now it's
Today
too cold.
But
For
still,
us,
compared to a place like
compared to other places,
even
at
to the
least we don't
United
have
States?
snow. Absolutely, we don't have snow. But what I'm saying is that we do have it all. So our slogan, like for our promotional campaign, Egypt has it all: history, beaches, recreational tourism, healing tourism, convention
Medical,
tourism, everything, medical tourism, everything. So we do have it all. The only thing is that when we were directing our efforts for a tourism promotional campaign or a destination marketing campaign, we were still using the very old methods of getting new audience to come to our country. We were not focusing enough on the tourism experience that the tourist is actually finding. We were always under impression that being a tourist promotion authority, that you're leading a marketing campaign to your destination, bringing only the tourists. Your role is only for bringing the tourists to the destination, but that's not enough. Modern tourism promotion or tourism marketing for any destination is actually the entire experience. The experience not only bring out what brands you as a tourist product, but also creating a travel persona. That travel persona, they created that in Mexico. Creating a travel persona where people come in for a specific audience and bringing them over and then make them live a touristic experience. That touristic experience is what make repetitive tourism come back to you again. So when we say, like last year, we have 12.8 million.
I think we do have, without interfering, we do have that in Aswan and Luxor, the same thing.
Yes. When we say that last year we've had 12.8 million coming to Egypt, if we have the right analytics and the right statistical data and find out how many of those tourists are coming back to Egypt again, we will find that the number doesn't even reach 2 million out of that bigger number. Which is going to alarm us that we have to create the right touristic experience. A touristic experience is being created in countries such as Italy, France, Spain. They create touristic experience. It's part of it. It's a contribution of the infrastructure of the country, such as roads, quality conditions of the touristic services around, the way how people are getting in and out of tourist sites, the way how they drive, safety, many other factors actually contribute to that tourism experience. Behavior, local citizen behavior, welcoming behavior, also the way how we facilitate the experience of the traveler when he even start thinking or dreaming about coming to this destination, by simply facilitating the way how he acquires the visa, the way how he gets in, the way how he actually lands at the airport, how he's been treated at the airport, how he go through immigration, how he gets through from the airport to final transportation to his hotel. When he gets to the hotel, the way he's been treated at the hotel. When he goes out on the sightseeing, if he gets a taxi or an Uber, the way how he's been treated there. We have to look into all of this, the way how even if he comes to a tourist site, the way even if he stands in a queue to get a ticket, how he's been handled, how he's been able to go and roam around the sites and being able to freely take pictures and freely go to a place for catering service, like getting to a restaurant and being how he's been treated in all of these places, how he's been treated at the airports when he's been searched at the airports. All of this is part of the tourism experience. You know, this kind of tourism experience is what makes the traveler create what we call a travel persona for the country, and then we will actually push him to come back to Egypt again. Not only this, but also when he goes back home, he acts as an ambassador. We always say that we have in the tourism industry, our local ambassadors are the travel guides of Egypt, or the tourist guides of Egypt. Those are local ambassadors, because when they speak to their travelers, they give them the best stories, they give them the best justification of everything negative. They're trying to turn the negative into positive. So they do a tremendous role in promoting tourism in Egypt internally. However, we need someone to promote it externally, and part of that is leading a great destination marketing campaign focusing on Egyptian products, focusing on our touristic products, or what we are best at. But also, part of that is having the number of travelers who have actually experienced our touristic experience to go back home and become our own ambassadors in terms of speaking to other people who have wished to see this destination, and encourage them, give them the right encouragement, give them the word of mouth, and so that to come to Egypt again and see Egypt. And that's what we call the touristic experience. And every country, and if you ask me as a destination marketing expert in this regard, I would tell you modern destination marketing now depends on the touristic experience. If you have a budget and you spend...
First priority, word of mouth.
Word of mouth, creating ambassadors, creating influencing tourism. If you have millions of dollars and you spend them out in a promotional campaign, which is valid, which is absolutely valid, you don't need to spend them on one specific destination. You need to divide your destinations into segments or into different regional personas, and make your marketing destination divided among 4 or 5 marketing destinations, and brand each city. So instead of branding Egypt as a whole, brand Cairo as a whole with its Islamic and pharaonic monuments, brand Luxor as a whole as one brand, as a destination, brand Aswan, brand Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada as one unit. So if you get like 4 or 5 brands from one country, when you get, God forbid, a terrorist attack somewhere, or unfortunate incident that could happen in Egypt, then once you create that, then it's not going to affect the rest of the cities, because you are branding them separately and differently. And that's the new marketing approach worldwide. Secondly, today travelers, they don't listen to what you tell them, they have to listen to what others people tell them about you. So we've got to get people to speak about you, not you to speak about your products, which means that it all depends on the touristic experience. So if you focus part of your marketing, destination marketing campaign, or part of that budget on to enhancing the tourism experience for our travelers, we will be able to double up the number of travelers in no time. Why? Because we've created that experience. It's all about experience. Right now, if you are on social media, it's all about experience. If you are on Google, it's all about experience. Even when you are visiting a website right now, if you go to a website and another one, the one that you feel that you have a better experience is the one you engaged more, right? So it's all about distribution, experience, engagement, and that's what we need to focus these days. We need to adapt ourselves, and we need to be online with what is happening around the world, and we need to push for our products in a much smarter way. We need to do analytics, we need to do a right market research and find out who is interested in us, who is our target audience, how we attract them, and how we create the right experience for them so they can come back.
Well, you've talked about as a very important element, which could be the core for the, or a foundation for the whole file itself, the tourism file, which is the touristic experience. And you talked about enhancing this experience. At the same time, we have to cope with the momentum. Talking about in the sense of a modern touristic experience. Before it was maybe, of course, museums becomes popular for all times, and mosques become popular for all times, and all the artifacts and all the monuments become popular. But at the same time, the touristic experience, the gastronomy, the Egyptian cuisine,
Absolutely.
the cafes, the
Absolutely.
That particular environment in Midtown Cairo, downtown Cairo, the people there, the new generations in Egypt, the political changes and the cultural changes, the conference tourism, the festival tourism. I mean, those changes. I mean, women empowerment, and women in particular in Egypt, and the pace of women development and empowerment in Egypt, which are many Europeans and Americans are interested in I mean, following up with, are part of the touristic experience. So
let me give you a little example. Many years back, I used to do a lot of tour directing, and I used to get a lot of American groups from abroad. And part of their program was to have dinner with the local Egyptian family. Okay, and at the end of the trip,
that is a program that you created, or they just
no, the company abroad, they've asked for cultural connection, anything that have a cultural connection. So we suggested that we have a dinner, like for the people to eat the local Egyptian cuisine, but through being invited with the local Egyptian family.
Homemade food.
Okay, homemade food. And also participate in making the food itself. So buying the food and making the food. And I have to say, this was so many years back, I think it was like 2004, 2005. I have to tell you that you'd be surprised to know that people, when they go back home and they get their surveys, and the only thing that they have highlighted as one of the most excellent experiences they have had throughout 16 days of the entire trip was only this 1 hour when they had the food with the Egyptian family and tasted the Egyptian cuisine through a homemade meal. This shows you that the touristic experience is the most important thing that actually make travelers remember this country with such a pleasant memory, and can act for years for us as ambassadors for this product. If you go to Italy today, ask yourself this: if you go to Italy and you've seen a Colosseum and you've been through Piazza di Spagna, for example, you went to the fountain, the Trevi fountain in Rome, and after having such a wonderful experience of going around here and there, coming back, the first thing you see, first thing you talk to would be your friends and your family, and you tell them how wonderful Italy was, how wonderful your tourist experience was, right? Why? Because you've lived through a memorable experience, a memorable journey. It's all about memorable journeys. So what we need to focus for the upcoming years, and I think, and I'm so actually glad that we have such an active Minister of Tourism and Archaeology. This Minister, Dr. Khalid Anani, he's a graduate from Faculty of Tourism. And so he actually understands this, and I'm so confident that he will be giving a lot of attention to that, to the tourism experience. And one of the things that I know that is coming up for the next few months, and we are pushing for this, is that not only enhancing the tourism experience around the streets and around the and also out in the open, but also into the archaeological sites. The way how tourists are getting through archaeological sites, the way how they are looking at these sites, how to organize entry routes for them and exit routes, how you, such an organization make it a pleasant experience. If will the tourists be able to get tourism or tickets for the archaeological sites online, for example? Are they able to get, for example, we can create a mobile app that will give full information to travelers once they land at the airport. We have to adapt ourselves, and we have to embrace modern technology in order to enhance that tourism experience, and this goes side by side with our new achievements, building up new museums and opening up new museums everywhere. I just 2 days back I heard that they've opened up a new museum in Hurghada. For so many years we've never had any museum in Hurghada that it's comprising a lot of archaeological monuments. So people you've got to create patterns for those who are staying in Hurghada to go and see something. Not only that they have to go to Luxor and spend a day and see some archaeological monuments, but also you've got, some people are spending a week there. So you've got to create different pattern, different activities for those travelers in order to see it. So you are actually enhancing their tourism experience. So the more you add of touristic products into one destination, the more you're enhancing the tourism experience. Making sure that people are no longer in capsules. One of the things that make our number of travelers limited to 12 to 13 million, and Turkey right now is 43 million. Many years back, Turkey was just 20 million tourists. Today they're reaching out 40 something million. So, and we are, not only that we have been set back because of the revolution and because of the warning that different countries have actually give about us, forbidding some of their tourists to go back to us, such as Russia, for example, UK. This was not the only reason that we're having the shortage of travelers in Egypt. It's not only that the fact that we have a hot area around us. These were factors contributing, but it's not the only thing. The only thing is that we have a very fierce competition. Competition.
What type of competition?
Competition from the countries around us. Morocco,
in
Tunisia, Turkey, Israel, Jordan.
But what are the tools?
Dubai, Abu Dhabi, all these, the competition that these countries, all these countries are running their destination marketing campaigns, right? But they are focusing on the travel experience. We run our destination marketing campaign and we are focusing on the touristic product. It's a huge difference. You could be having a touristic product that doesn't sell well, but if you focus on creating a travel persona, people will come to you. Like you said, Mexico, right? They have created that travel persona. They have created a brand. When you focus on the brand, when you create that brand, when you enhance the brand, people will come to you. When you create the travel experience, people will come to you.
Look at Atlantic City in New York. Look at Las Vegas. What do you find in Las Vegas?
What follows, when people come to you and a demand is increasing, what follows? Aviation companies, airlines, going to open up new routes and link to your destination because they see that there is a demand. If this happens, the number of tourists is going to double up. So what you need to take it, the fundamental first thing to look after is your touristic experience. And I've talked about this for the last 3 years. And I've been saying, guys, you need to focus on the tourism experience. If it's up to me, I would have put half the budget on an outbound promotional campaign and half the budget in inbound promotional campaign. What I would do in the inbound promotional campaign, I will enhance the tourism experience. And the outbound is to bring new travelers, is to attract more people. I will use influencers to attract people into the destination so I can speak to different target audience. I will use the right analytics. I will do the right marketing research and marketing survey to find out exactly where and when and why travelers come and where they go. By having such big data or analytical information, I'll be able to determine where to put, what to do, which area I should look after, which area I should enhance better, how many thousands of people are getting through this, what is their experience. The fact that until today that we have problems in Upper Egypt, especially when it comes to Nile cruises, especially when we have people are misusing our travelers out in the street. People are actually scamming them at the pyramids area. People are scamming them at different archaeological sites. That's not acceptable in 2020.
But then you find that in most of the Eastern European countries also. I mean, in Italy, if you go to a flea market in Rome, for example, you can see, especially with Italians, it's the same thing. And in Greece, in Spain, it's the same thing. I mean, even in South Africa, it's the same thing. In some places in the Bronx,
can I ask you a question?
You could find, some Americans doing that too.
You've just said flea market, right? You've specified where you find them, flea market, right? So I'm happy if we can find them in 1 or 2 areas in Egypt, but not in every area. It's like the fact, have you ever been to the Colosseum and you had such a bad experience? Think about it.
One could encounter, I mean, but
exactly.
Usually there is.
So what I mean is that if we don't focus on the touristic experience right away, if our country doesn't come together, if the governorates and the governors with the ministry, they don't come together and create this kind of a institution, or I would say an authority that are able to enhance the travelers' experience throughout the country, we will not be able to increase the number of travelers. We'll still be at the same number. You know, the maximum number we've had were in 2010 were 14 million tourists, right? At that time, Turkey were around 15, 16 million tourists, right? Now, last year, we were almost reaching the same number, 12.9 million tourists, right? With the same, was almost like 12 billion US dollars. Nowadays, look at the country like Turkey, for example, has like 43 million. Look at country like Morocco. Morocco were 8.5 million. Today, Morocco are reaching 12.3 million. So the countries are increasing attention towards them. It's all a market. It's about a market share. Dubai, for example, reaching out 2 years back, 14.3 million. Today, reaching out 19 million. 19 million, and they're having an expo
expanding,
coming in 2020 in 6 months' time. So they reckon that they're going to reach at 30 million. Saudi Arabia wants 30 million travelers from now till 2030. They want 30 million travelers. They open up the country. So we are having competitors on the line, and if we don't give attention to those competitors, we're going to lose our market share. Those 12.5 million people that are coming to us, it's our market share, but everyone else wants to have a piece of the pie. So what we want...
Can we say, because we only have like 1 minute or more left, but can we say that it's a problem of like 70% about awareness?
Of course, any campaign creates the awareness. So we're going to create the awareness, whether outside or inside the country. It is definitely a problem about the awareness. It is definitely a problem about the awareness, but it's also, again, if you need to promote this country, since we were talking about a hot topic today, it's about promotion. See, our country is a very rich country, and I think we are trying our best to increase the number of travelers. But if we don't enhance the touristic experience, we're going to stay at the same number. If we want to double up the number, we need to enhance the tourism experience coming up. So the key word when we need to build on our tourism for the future, the coming future, and cope with the sustainable development vision of 2030-2063 is the touristic experience. And you're very right in that sense. Only we need to have more episodes to be able to elaborate more over how to be able to bring it to reality and execute it on real ground. Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Alaa Khalifa. You're an international tourism promotion expert. Wish you the best of luck with all the endeavors, and hope to have you again on Windows and Current Affairs.
Thank you so much, and I guess this brings us to the end of this edition of Windows on Current Affairs. Thank you. Until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.